Everybody, I think we are live. I will fetch the link before sharing it. Awesome, I have the link. I'll just share it on Telegram. And it's done. Martin, do you want to start?
Sure, I'm working on the storage part with LevelDB. I'm just doing a proof of concept to storing and retrieving arbitrary key values. Yeah, I think I will have something today, and then I will just listen to the blocks and store them, and possibly also fix the Econ API call so that uh, when they ask for a root that we have in storage, we can retrieve that. Otherwise, we can return 404. So that would be the full cycle. Hopefully, I will have something today or tomorrow.
That's awesome. It would be great to have that integrated. Anything else?
No, that's all on my side.
Perfect. Paul, do you want to continue?
Sure. So on my side, I'm happy because we were able to merge the PR for the Beacon API. So now we can run make start, and we should be able to run the Beacon API. It runs on port 4000 localhost, and which is not now that I think about it, the default port for the Beacon API. So I will have to modify that. But at least we have it. And right now I am working on implementing a test runner for what we call the operations after discussing with Martin, because I'm now focusing on the execution engine, and so the communication with the execution client. So I'm working on implementing the tests, uh, making sure that the we're mocking the calls to the execution engine, and that our internal functions actually take, for example, the beacon state, that we apply the right transition to it with the test operations, and that our internal functions work the way they're intended to. So right now I'm building the full test runner for the operations. But the only one we have implemented right now and that I'm trying to implement is the execution payload, but it will enable to build on top later. So yeah, working on that right now.
Awesome. Thomas, do you want to continue?
Yeah. Well, yesterday I did some error fixing. Uh, Fix that problem we had with the fatal error when trying to compile the P2P library. Also, did some implemented two types for SSC just to have the general structure of the directories and all of that. Um, and yeah, just fix some things that were lying around. Also, try to run the node and see what peers gossiped about. Added, added some more configuring on the underlying lib2p on the constructor, and um, uh, messages are still like uh, they don't come. They aren't really frequent, and I'm having trouble to trying to change that. Yeah.
That's okay. Are you focusing on getting more messages, or are you or are sorry, I will turn the question around. Is your problem that you're like we're not getting enough peers sending us messages, or is the problem that low traffic is something that we have now and we just cannot handle that with Broadway correctly for now?
Now, uh, I don't know if it's because we don't have enough peers. We have some peers, but we don't receive gossip message. Like we receive every now and then a gossip message, but it's not as frequent as it it should be.
Okay.
I think we can still leave that for later. Maybe it will resolve itself once we implement more of the node uh, and other peer scoring system and all of that.
That could be the case. Just a question: implementing the scoring system would be for ourselves to score
I
the
think
others, right? Or
actually I think it's already implemented in lib-p2p. Just forget I mentioned that.
okay, sure. Like, what do you think are the next steps on what we need to implement on our side on libp2p in order to receive more messages? Do we have a clear path, or are we in the section of analyzing the next steps?
Uh, I think we can already start consuming the information that comes out. Uh, but for like improving the there are some parts that need configuring on the underlying lib-p2p that require some work, uh, and I think those are the things that are left. Just that I opened some issues about things I found we needed to implement in the future, but apart from that, I don't think there's any other clear thing we are missing.
Okay. Yeah, I would start consuming what we have. I wouldn't like stop development on that area, but if you have some ideas on what we need to configure better, then that's cool. Like, feel free to spend your time testing that and fine tuning everything. Um, did we did we look at how other nodes configure their lib2p networking options?
Yeah, I'm trying to mimic price.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That's cool. That should be a good starting point. I suggest that you still focus on that. Maybe after today, I will hijack your section. Sorry. Um, as for myself, I've been building a small proof of concept of an implementation of Go code that we communicate to using ports instead of NIFs, as we had several opinions of Elixir seniors telling us that for this specific use that's related to blocking operations and networking, we should probably be using ports instead. I think that we have a good idea on how to do that, and I will upload a very simplistic POC that does not have anything to do with libp2p. It's just like a very quick implementation of Go code being communicated with in ports and protobuf. And I think that maybe for at some point between mid this week and mid next week, we can have you working on migrating what we currently have to that. Not because not to my proof of concept specifically. Like, the proof of concept will be just like a way to bootstrap the process um, and not be blocked by the gen servers and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that will be pretty good to have a starting point. It will also free us from implementing any more NIFs, and it would be like a big simplification of code, even if it doesn't seem so. it will be a change of paradigm in the sense that we will be thinking more in terms of like a we would be thinking in the terms of a separate server working in Go from the server that we have in Elixir, and that server would be in charge of just doing discovery and sending us notifications, and then we would be working with those notifications. And on the other hand, the only active interaction we would have with it would be sending specific subscribe and unsubscribe messages for the committees and stuff like that. But aside from that, it should be like a very easy self-running module implemented in Go. And I don't think that we have a better approach for now until we implement libp2p in Elixir ourselves. But still, I mean, we still do have some Go code that does some stuff on our side. So for instance, I was just reading the discovery implementation that you did, and there's plenty of configuration that's done in the Go side. So we still have some value in there aside from just calling libp2p. Anyway, so what I was saying with this is this will probably impact what you have to do the following days, in the sense that for today, it's probably the best if you focus on seeing what other tasks do we have associated with metadata, configuration, etc. But probably from tomorrow on, it would be nice to start the migration over to ports in the best sense possible, to not block this current milestone. But I think that from the networking side, this milestone is probably ready, right? The blockers for this milestone now are storage, and I mean, not blockers, the things that are missing are storage and maybe execution validation, but I think that was optional for this one and a requirement for milestone 2. So in any case, yeah, I think that's it for me. Was it clear? I was just like speaking for like 5 minutes. So yeah, I also gave my update with that. So do we have any comments or questions? Awesome. If that's the case, I think that we can finish the daily. Thank you all for joining. Yeah, see you all tomorrow.